So now I'm pretty much done. Square root of 0.35 times 0.65 over, what's N1? What is it? It's 78, right? Okay. Plus 0.35 times 0.65 over 82. And now, you can either type all that in, or if you don't feel like typing all that in, you can hit stat on your calculator and test.
Oh, yeah.
Can you plug it? Okay.
Hold on. Like.
You have to do one or the other, both of which is going to involve a calculator. So either one way or another, you can do calculator. Okay. Make sure if you're using a calculator that you're still showing these stats, like where you're getting this number from. Okay. And then hit stat. Somebody, come on, you plug it in, Jacob. Come on, hurry up. Okay. I want to do one more thing before we go. Okay. Okay. Hit stat. Go back, please. Show them what you're doing. Stat, tests, and then go find a 2-proportion z-test. It should ask you how many successes you had, how many failures you had, how many successes you had, how many failures you had, and now you got to pick the correct alternative hypothesis. Cool kids, hit draw. It'll draw your sampling distribution. Whoop, you did it backwards. Experimental was the, no, do it the way we did it. Okay, so 30 over 78, 28 over 80,
How do we get to 82?
82, okay,
Stat test.
okay. Z-score is 0.56.
Proportion z-test.
Did anybody do this by typing it all in? We could check the calculator. I guess we have to trust it. 0.56. P-value is what? 28%. What do we do? Any reasonable person here is going to what? Reject or fail to reject? Fail to reject. Agreed? Okay. And Christina, conclude. We're going to do it out loud because I have one more thing to do. Start with if I assume. Talk loud. Be it in context as much as possible. So that if I assume that the gastric freezing technique what? Helps or doesn't help them? So what is the null saying about our treatment here? That it doesn't matter, right? So if I assume that gastric freezing is effective or is not effective? Is not effective. That's such a better way than saying if I assume the proportion of the experimental group equals the proportion of the control group. If I assume that gastric freezing is not effective, then there's a what percent chance, Christine? I forgot it? 28% chance of seeing these results, right? Here's the idea, guys. If you can do it in one of them, you can do it in all of these things. The difference between this and a 1 proportion z-test is minimal, right? So if I assume that gastric freezing has no effect, there's a 28% chance of seeing results as big as these. Is that low or high, Christine? High. So do we have evidence to say it works? Yes or no? No. We have no evidence to say it works. Yes? Do you see this is about the same thing we've been doing? It's such a minor difference. The only difference is this formula is different, right? On the bottom. But that formula is just a logical extension of the other formula. This is not any different. Can you make a confidence interval? Let's do it before the bell. A confidence interval for the true difference. Let's make a 90% confidence interval for the true difference. What was our one proportion z interval formula? It was p hat, what was it? Plus or minus z star square root of, correct? But here's what I want you to think about now as we go into other versions of this. This is whatever your estimate is for what you're trying to make an interval for. Plus or minus a critical value times the standard error. That's what it always is. Okay? What's our estimate in this case? Is it p hat? Right? What was our estimate for the true difference? Where is it here? Where is it in this work? Was that our estimate for the true difference? The p hat pooled? That was our estimate for what p actually is. Where's our estimate for the true difference? It's 0.044, right? Yes? So now this p hat is going to become p hat 1 minus p hat 2. Plus or minus z star, and that's going to stay the same, right? Square root of p1 q1 over n1 plus p2 q2 over n2. What should I use for those p's? Should I use p hat pooled now?
Yeah.
Why not, Annie? Why did we use p hat pooled the first time when we were doing the hypothesis thing? Yes? Right. Are we assuming the null is true when we're making an interval? No. So what should we use now? Right, this is a technical detail here. When we're making a confidence interval, we use the individual p hats. When we're doing a hypothesis test, we use that p hat pool. But you should understand there's a reason why. It's not arbitrary. Okay, let's put numbers in. What's this one? What do we say? 0.044 plus or minus z star. Who knows it for 90%? Right, 1.645. If you don't know it, what percentile should I be looking up on the chart? 5%, right? One tail of 5% for 90% confidence. But 1.645, I just know that one. Square root of 0.341, no, 0.385, 0.615 over 78, 341, 0.692. And now either type all that in or hit stat. Again, I really have no opinion on which way of these is better. But stat and tests and go find a two proportion confidence interval. You passed it. It looks like B. Okay. It should have all the stuff in from before. And all you got to do is change the confidence level and then hit calculate. Now, is this showing us the same thing the hypothesis test showed us? Is it showing us that there's a difference, or there's not really a difference? Why? What's in there? Right? I mean, another way of saying this, is this showing that the experimental group did better, the control group did better, or can we not tell from that? Because it has both positive and negative numbers. Now, if you want a grammatical challenge, interpret that. Go ahead, I give you 2 minutes. Try it. Start with I am 90% confident. You have to be on the top of your grammar game to write this correctly when there's positives and negatives.
Where's my when you need her?
If you're a grammar pretender, you'll have a hard time writing this. Again, you got to write it about gastric freezing. And while you're writing, let me just say a couple things. So homework is chapter 21. If you're taking AP exam, you have got to be getting ahead right now. So my suggestion to you is to do 21 and 22. Because the two proportion stuff is 22. Okay, homework is just 21 if you're just staying with me. Okay, if you're getting ahead, you should be doing 21 and 22. Then next class, we're probably going to do 23. But you're going to need to get ahead and do 23 and 24 if you're getting ahead. All right, who's got it? I need somebody with top-notch, who has top-notch grammar skills in this class? Oh, isn't she the editor of Silver Chips? I thought you were. Why did I think that? Oh, good. Your quality.
Editor next year.
What? You're the editor next year?
Only entertainment.
All right.
No,
Entertainment.
but
And they don't have grammar. All right, go. I am go. Go ahead. Okay. That's okay. I mean, it's right, except differences aren't really negative. This is what I mean that it's a grammatical challenge. I give you a B- on your first sentence. Because I think it's right, but it's not saying what you need to say about the experiment. All right, Hermel, go. I'm 90% confident that what? Brian, go. Come on, guys, you got to give it a shot. The bell's about to ring. Go ahead.
90% confident that gastric freezing is between 8.2% worse and 8 to 20% better than other people.
Good. Do you hear what he just said? Do you hear the difference between what Laura said and what he just said? They're both right. Technically right. But the latter is explaining what this is saying. I'm 90% confident that gastric freezing is between 8 points worse and 16 points better than the placebo. Or not the placebo, yeah, the control group. Yeah? And now Laura, finish it. This means if what? What's the second sentence? When we're interpreting these confidence intervals? Yeah, but we're not sampling now. So if I did lots of good and made multiple of these intervals, hold on, she's falling down now. What are we making this interval for? For the true difference. So if I did lots of experiments and each time made an interval, 90% of those intervals would contain the true what? The true difference. Yes? That's a grammatical challenge. You want to really make the effort to make it as in context as possible while still being right. Yeah? 2 proportions. Is it significantly different than a 1 proportion test? All right, next class, which will be what day? Wednesday. I'm going to talk about what we do with means instead of proportions. I'm going to combine the next 2 units into 1 unit. Have one big knowledge celebration for means and proportions, I think.